Hello everyone, this is Rampage American X, and you are listening to Starfield with Normal People.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of Starfield with Normal People. My name is Duane, and I am here with my friend Michael. Michael, how are you this week?
I am doing great, and I am so excited because Shattered Space, the first major DLC for Starfield, finally has a date.
Yes.
Very exciting. It happened at Gamescom. It's a September 30th release date.
September 30th. Mark it on your calendars. Absolutely. Well, that intro was from our friend Rampage American X. We appreciate him.
Yeah.
He's actually one of our legendary Patreons.
Yeah, he's a legendary Patreon member. He's been our friend in the Discord, hanging out for forever now. Like, I don't even remember when he joined. But
he feels like an OG.
He's just always been there.
He's an OG Normal People.
Definitely. But yeah, appreciate that intro. Thank you very much.
Now, Gamescom, have we talked about this? Why is it not Gamescon? Like, convention.
Gamescom.
Com? Like, pick up the com? I'm trying to page you.
I mean, it's in Germany. Is it I'm looking it up right now.
What's in a name?
What is in a name?
So maybe it's Gamescom Con.
I don't know about that. In a quick Google search, I don't see the reason why. I would love to know if there's a reason for this. Anyone that wants to hit us up in the comments, please do. But yes, Gamescom happened, actually, as of this recording, is still happening this week. And on the opening night, we got honestly, I'm going to say a surprise trailer, because Xbox had only mentioned that they were going to, they were talking about day one, not the opening night beforehand. But no, we got a surprise trailer which showed off the most anticipated update, I think, that we've had since Starfield came out, which was the buggy, the REV-8.
And I have not been this excited after watching a game trailer in quite some time. I thought the game trailer was executed so well. It built up the excitement that we've been anticipating for some type of transportation, some way to get across planets and moons, whatnot, a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
And boy, did this trailer deliver. I thought it was well-paced. I thought it was fun, a little lighthearted.
It was really fun. I wanted to ask you about it because you're a car guy.
Oh, absolutely. I have a lot to talk about.
Right?
But I think we should save that for our main topic, which we'll get to in just a few minutes. So
we will get to very shortly, yes.
I have a lot to say about the REV-8, but before we do that, was there anything else at Gamescom that just caught your eye real quick regarding Xbox stuff? Because I know you're a big Xbox enthusiast. And
oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a few games that are coming to Game Pass on day one, which is always a welcome surprise whenever we hear about it. We've been seeing a little bit more about Towerborn, which honestly looks sort of like it's 4-player co-op. It almost reminds me like sort of like a Dungeons and Dragons light mixed with Castle Crashers.
Oh,
like
right.
in a weird way. Yeah. In a weird way, it reminded me of Castle Crashers. It's because it's 4-player, sort of side-scrolling as far as I can tell. But it's just a beautiful-looking game. It looks really fun.
Nice.
And on top of that, there's a sort of like a post-apocalyptic game from the makers of Sniper Elite.
Oh, yes.
So yes, this game is called Atomfall. It looks very interesting. It's open world, and they're calling it a survival action game. But looks very good. But hey, if you like Sniper Elite better, they also have one of those coming out. They've got a new game called Sniper Elite Resistance.
Great.
Very fun. Yeah. Those were the things that sort of caught my eye so far at Gamescom.
What was the presentation that Tim Lamb did? Was that at the same event, or where was that?
Yes.
Okay.
This just happened today as of this recording. Tim Lamb gave an interview regarding Shattered Space. And the funny thing is, I just kind of found this hilarious. As a longtime Bethesda fan, was the interviewer was asking questions about Shattered Space, right? And Tim Lamb, hey, I get it. He doesn't want to spoil anything. He doesn't want to reveal too much.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the answers were like, well, you're going to meet some new characters. There's going to be new items, new weapons, new areas to explore. And I was just thinking, wow. So basically these answers would fit for any project you guys have worked on over the last 20 years.
Very broad strokes. Let's give the most general answers possible. It's kind of like a political spin.
Yeah.
You know, when you ask a politician try to get the yes or no or a hard stance on any issue, and they go into this crazy spin about everything
Just
but
vague,
the actual,
yeah,
very vague. But I get it. I mean, he wanted to be a part of the comms con, and he needed to rep Bethesda, and yet he couldn't give away any pertinent information. So there you have it.
Hey, the good thing is this game is just a little over a month away. We won't be waiting too long. The few details that we were able to glean from not only this interview, but some, I guess, at Gamescom, there have been some floor demonstrations of Shattered Space. And where is the information? Because
Behind closed doors.
Oh yeah, it's so secretive. Hey, it is the Varun, right? The Varun Kai is a very secretive place, so it makes sense that everything would be done behind closed doors.
Well, Todd is supposed to call me later, so I'll ask if we can get a demo of Shattered Space. Give our 2 cents on it.
Oh man, I would love that. Well, sometimes with these events, these closed door things, we'll get more information like in the days after, of course, and then maybe sometimes we get some video, but unclear as of right now. Here's the thing though, I did hear from one article that I've seen so far, they confirmed something that you and I actually speculated on when we did our trailer breakdown episode. We had speculated that it looked like something had happened to the city, that there was some sort of destruction that happened and that was sort of a tragedy. Well, there was a confirmation in the article I read. There was basically a rift. So like literally shattered space and I wouldn't say time, but essentially there was a rift that destroyed parts of the city. So exactly what you and I confirmed. In addition to that, that the rifts are happening all over the planet and it's causing gravitational anomalies, something that also you and I noticed. So it was kind of cool to see that confirmation of what we felt was happening when we broke down the trailer.
I love that because gravity is such an important part of the game that if they're going to exploit it in gameplay in different ways, I love that. I think it's going to be so much more fun. And again, we're seeing that with the new REV-8, the things that you can do that have to do with gravity and driving that thing around.
Yeah.
Imagine other things that you can do on foot that are gravity related. You know, kind of like I was complaining before about how there's just not as many abandoned space stations when it seems like such a cool thing to do is to fight in a zero-G environment.
Right.
I played the game for 100 hours, maybe 150, and I still haven't done that quest. So I've actually never played in a zero-G environment yet, and I have 150 hours in the game. So
yeah, that's
maybe
so crazy.
The Shattered Space DLC will have a lot more opportunities. And I also think that the lore of these rifts and gravity anomalies is kind of I don't know if you'd call it a trope in science fiction, but definitely things that we've seen in other science fiction movies or books.
Just any other properties.
Yeah, any other kind of media, games, whatever. So it's going to be fun to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. And one thing that Tim Lamb touched on, he didn't outright say it, but journalists are starting to say that they're pretty sure that Shattered Space is going to lean into a horror aspect, which you and I saw you discussing with some of our friends in the Discord. But Tim Lamb himself said, before getting into Shattered Space, he said that the game itself, the main game, has a feeling of hope
Right.
and discovery. And I thought it was interesting because even though he didn't outright say that Shattered Space is not that, I feel like that's where he was going because he sort of stopped himself. And and so I think that it's great for the people that have lamented that Starfield is not dark enough, even though it's got some dark spots, but I get what people are saying. It sounds like this is gonna lean really into the darkness, so it should be a good time.
Yeah, I think they've presented the hope and optimistic portion of the game, and now it's time for the DLC to give another side to it. It could be, hey, it could be like Empire Strikes Back is like the middle of
Right.
the trilogy, right? It's kind of like the more melancholy or darker toned of the three original, Star Wars movies. So if we get another DLC, maybe it'll go back to a more optimistic and hopeful style of future, or maybe not. I mean, they could continue to look into these different themes.
You know, when times are bad and you always have that friend that says, you have to have the dark to appreciate the light. Well, I guess in Starfield world, you had to have the light to appreciate the dark.
There you go. Yep. It leaves us yearning for a little bit of an edge, which we've said from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us come from the Fallout universe.
Oh yeah.
Which is extremely dark. It's
Which is brutal. Yeah.
So I think it's a refreshing change to have a more optimistic and hopeful environment, if you will.
They are leaning into a more handcrafted world and area for this. So we have touched on this before, but for anyone new to the podcast and yearning for those times of the DLCs that you get from, like you said, Fallout or Skyrim, it sounds like this area will be much more handcrafted.
Yep.
For you to explore in. So that should be fun.
That has been one of the biggest criticisms. I don't necessarily disagree with it. Again, as I was playing last night, I was driving the buggy across the surface and I was running into cool things that I wanted to stop and check out. It's not this vast wasteland that a lot of naysayers paint it to be. However, if we get on the Vroom homeworld and there's a ton of handcrafted content, that's going to be awesome too.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I love both. I love the vast worlds, and then when you get to a particular mission that has a unique area, that's great. It's so nice. We talk about going through these different ways of playing. Like, I will play the game differently from one week to the next. So this week, I might just be exploring. And then after a while, I'm like, now I want to go back to doing story missions. And then it's like I remember, oh yeah, that's right. All this is like handcrafted. This part is unique. So it's nice. It's almost like the game allows you to get a break from different styles of gameplay, depending on how you play it.
Should we get into buggy talk?
We should, yeah. I want to talk about that.
Can I say that the fact that we're referring to it as buggy, and I'm not the first one to do this, but people in our Discord had mentioned buggy. I saw it on YouTube. It's just kind of funny. I mean, that is essentially what it is. It's kind of like a razor. If you've seen these off-road vehicles that are called razors, they're kind of high-powered off-road vehicles with cool off-road tires or whatnot. It's more like that. It's less of a mooned rover, which is kind of what I thought we might get.
Right.
And more like a razor. But the buggy nomenclature, that's funny. I don't know. It's just very casual and fits, I guess.
I thought you were going to bring up how people have been enjoying making the joke that Bethesda's new update is really buggy.
Yeah, no. I did see someone mention that too. I think that was the title of a YouTube video, I think.
Right, yeah. I mean, I get it. How can you resist? This thing is so much fun. We talked about the different ways to play, right? And so far, I think most people, like myself, got the update, got the buggy, went to a barren planet, started driving it around, right? But then I started thinking, man, I still haven't even tried playing story missions. and seeing how this buggy might fit into some of the story sections that are on open land. That's what is like crazy to me, is that I haven't even tried that yet. And I'm so excited to get more time with it. You know, now the period of testing is over. I've already done the testing. Now I want to play the game for real, but with this new tool.
That is a telltale sign of something that is well designed. When a new object enters the game that is well tested, well designed, makes sense to the game, that opens up all these ideas in your head, right? And you actually just released a video entitled Starfield's new REV-8 is a game changer.
Yes.
And in your video, you talk about all the testing that you did, which I found fascinating because you did a lot of things that I never would have thought of. Like you immediately jumped out of the New Atlantis starport right into the little lake that's right outside. And I was like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
And no, you started floating. I was blown away. I was like, whoa.
Let me tell you too, so you don't see this in the video because I record the clips and then I record my voice after, but my son was actually sitting with me watching me play with the new buggy, the REV-8. And yeah, both of us at the same time thought, oh, here comes the water, it's gonna just game over me, or, you know, respawn or whatever.
Yep.
When the car started
It was going to be a
floating,
Grand Theft Auto Vice City when you go into the water and just immediately get ejected out of the car. And
yeah, you live on the beach, but you can't swim. Cool, got it. The car's tires start floating, and both my son and I were like, what? Like, it was just such a fun moment of discovery. So yeah, like I was really shocked by that.
Before we get too far into your video, like what is it Revision 8? What is REV? Is it an acronym for something? I actually don't know if there's any lore behind this, or...
That is a good question.
I wonder if it's like literally Bethesda came up with 8 versions of this like Land Rover thing, and then this was the one that everybody loved, and it was revision number 8, and they're like, let's call it the REV-8.
Oh yeah, that could be. That could absolutely, that would make sense to me.
It probably has a name. It's like Reconnaissance Electric Vehicle 8, you know, something to that effect.
Yeah. You know, we have our Discord, and we come up with these acronyms, or not. It's not always us. Actually, usually it's our friends in the Discord who are extremely clever. So we come up with Drive and Cribs, and then now we have Rides, and our good friend Zegra Rocks. Like, I made the channel, I called it Rides because that's what the people wanted, and then immediately it was within minutes, he puts RIDES, Rapid Integrated Dirt Exploration System. And I was like, well, there you go. There you go.
He's got a knack for that. I think he came up with Suits or one of the other ones.
Yes. He came up with Suits. Absolutely.
Don't ask me what that is, but...
and I think Oliver came up with Drive. I don't know offhand. I'd have to look it up. Yeah.
Come to our Discord. You tell us when you find out.
But please, someone from Bethesda, tell us if REV stands for something.
Well, it made me think of that because you said it floats on the wheels or the tires, but the tires are like these airless, you know, new tire that we've actually seen in real life, where it's like a grid, and it takes the impact of objects, and it never goes flat because it's made out of like hard rubber and plastic or whatever.
I believe they call it a honeycomb tire.
Oh yeah,
from what I saw.
So the honeycomb tire.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it could be buoyant, so
it could be.
That would explain it.
It could be. I think you're right. I'm still on this REV. It's got to be reconnaissance, environment. It could be environmental. Obviously, V stands for vehicle. What do you think? Hit us in the comments.
I tried to Google it, and I came up with a Bible verse from Revelation 8. I don't think that has anything to do with it. It's all about hellfire and damnation. So.
That's so funny. I did the same thing. So I wrote, what does REV-8 mean? And then I got Bible verse. And then I wrote, what does it mean? Starfield. And then this is fun. The top result is our video. I can't believe it.
Sweet.
It could be catered to my searches, but you know.
Yep. I love the overall design. And well, listen, who cares what it looks like? Kind of. I mean, it's a bonus that it looks cool, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
The best part about it is exactly what you said in the first part of your video, which is hella fun. Or you said it, what did you say? It's fun as hell or something?
Yeah, just
to
it's
that
fun
effect.
as hell.
Speaking
yeah.
of Revelation,
Yeah.
it's fun as hell. But it is really fun. And I feel like this is one of those things that was tested a lot because
Yeah.
when you get into vehicles in video games and a vehicle is not the main focus of the game, you see it usually right away. Like it feels like it was kind of a second thought. This feels like it could have been there from the beginning. How it moves around the environment and it doesn't get stuck on stuff. I was shocked. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to get like 10 feet because most planet surfaces, there's no roads, obviously. They're just, rough terrain, rocks, trees, whatever. And you can move around quite easily. I was amazed.
You said games where the vehicle isn't the main focus. I would even argue some games where the vehicle is the main focus. This vehicle, I don't know, man. I wasn't expecting a lot. Even though I love the game. Yeah. I love the game and I was like, cool, we're going to get a rover and it's going to be functional. You can tell it was tested. It feels so polished. Like it's so fun to drive around. Do I run into things a lot? Yes. Is it my fault? Probably. But there's rocks and stuff.
The forward boost and the up boost takes care of everything, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's not like unlimited boost, so you do have to like strategize how you use it. When you get a good run going and you boost forward and then you boost up and over rocks and you just get a good flow, it's very satisfying.
It does feel like you're right, some kind of like snowboarding game or something where if you strategize your jumps and your forward thrust, you can continue on at a good rate of speed. So there's that's a gameplay, I keep saying this gameplay element, but that is a really fun thing that it turns out, right? To be skipping across the surface in this buggy, landing and kind of going up on two wheels and doing whatever. It's just, it's almost like, it reminds me of these old ATV games that you would get where you would just spend hours seeing what you could jump over. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the design. I think it's so well thought out, especially the extras. The top mounted laser. They didn't have to do that, right?
Right.
But they knew it would be fun. And it is fun. And I love it. I don't know if they're ever going to allow upgrades or changes.
Oh, yeah.
But it seems to be pretty good. Like I took out a whole flock of migrating whatever, some kind of dinosaur looking thing.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun. The laser kind of aims itself a little bit, right?
Yeah. One thing I'm noticing as well is that the laser, depending on the enemy type, it's not overpowered either.
Yes.
So it's not an automatic win button for the game.
It doesn't feel like you're going in there with a tank. It feels like a smaller powered, it may be slightly more powerful than whatever laser weapon you might have equipped, whatever EM weapon, right?
Yeah. Speaking of extras, okay, I haven't confirmed this myself, but I was reading today people saying that when you get into the vehicle, your scanning range, if it's, let's say you don't have any upgrades, your scanner is 10 units, apparently this takes it to 30.
Wow.
So people are claiming that the vehicle itself is adding to your scanner range. And if that is true, I mean, what I said in the video I made yesterday is that this vehicle adds so much to planet scanning. Like driving around like a safari and just getting a read and surveying the planet. It's so much fun now.
The water scanning, remember my story about having a planet 90% done and then there was a water creature and it was like playing cat and mouse with me. It took me an hour. That was the one time that I ran into the barrier of the of the chunk or whatever, the grid of the game,
Yeah.
was when I was like just following the shoreline looking for more of these creatures, because the water happened to be super toxic. I couldn't get in it, and I needed to scan this animal that would only appear every once in a while. But if I had the buggy, I could have gone out there and easily killed them and scanned them from far away. It would have been perfect.
Your mileage may vary. I'm hearing that the buggy does not protect you from toxic water.
Mm-hmm.
Something to be careful about.
Okay, good to know.
Don't jetpack way out. Dip your toes in. If you're listening, dip your toes first.
According to your video too, it's like it feels like another spacesuit around you is kind of how it reacts, right? Like it has your health meter is the buggy's health meter. Is that right?
Yeah, the buggy does add a like 10 to 20% more armor or protection.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds about right to me, because if you're in there, it's open. It's not going to totally protect you, but yeah, you should get some protection.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting back to the design, it also has the lights, which was one of the first things that I found. I did get it at night first, so I immediately turned on the lights. I was like, this is awesome. You know, it makes sense that they would do that, but you know, it feels very well thought out and well tested. And the physics regarding how it moves about is expected.
Yeah.
Again, getting back to like these old ATV games, it's all about control. Like if you can time stuff to where you're landing on something that you want to land on, you know the controls are good.
Right.
They're not frustrating.
Yeah.
They're not like janky. So kudos to the dev team, and kudos to whoever's been working on this thing for the last year to get it to this point.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the physics, because there are two things I wanted to point out. Number one, the buggy does allow you to sort of like nudge it in one direction or another while you're in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, this doesn't make sense, right? Physics is you're going that way, that's the way you're going. But some of our favorite games, you know, you mentioned snowboarding. Most snowboarding games, you know, those types of things, let you sort of control what direction you push in a direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can do that with the buggy just enough. It doesn't feel unrealistic, but it allows you to sort of get the buggy where you want it to go. I've been taking photos with the buggy, so I found that sometimes if I'm turned the wrong way, it's a little difficult to like, it's not conventional where you back up and go forwards. There's no like reverse. It's like whatever direction you're facing, that's the way you go. So I found that I would just jump pack up, like boost up, and then you can sort of turn in the air to position yourself. And the reason I bring this up also is my second point. I think that we have only scratched the surface of seeing people's tricks. This thing has just enough boost that people are going to start doing driving trick shots.
Right.
And I can't wait for those clips.
So much potential with the physics and with this new vehicle to do things like that. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 does it so well with the game is the game, and then it has the ability to do surprising things because of all the physics and how things interact with other objects.
Right.
It's kind of an endless sandbox. Starfield's getting better at that.
Yeah.
And if this is a precursor to their design logic, I'm really excited for Shattered Space, because it feels more like they're erring on the side of fun versus immersion, or maybe not immersion necessarily, but like realism. Because of it, at the beginning, it seemed more like this is mankind's future, and now maybe they're slacking off a little bit on that idealism.
Right. In the best way, right?
In the best way.
It's like,
right.
Let's just have fun. Yeah.
Like people were saying, well, why didn't they make a hab?
Yeah.
Which they still could make a hab for your ship to load the buggy into, right?
Yeah.
That would be really cool. But then someone else said, well, it's kind of the same reason why they didn't flesh out the landing sequence. Not necessarily because they couldn't have figured it out in the engine, but probably because it would just get old after the 10 millionth time. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to jump out of my ship and jump in the buggy. I don't need to see the unload animation. Hey, maybe it'd be cool if you do want to see it, but
Sure. Yeah. Here's what I want. In Far Cry games, you get these upgrades over time. One of the upgrades that most Far Cry games have at this point, I know it was in 5, was when you fast travel, you could later unlock the ability to, you can just go to the map. I'm going to fast travel to this point, and then you can choose just be on the ground already, or do you want to drop from the sky and parachute in? How great would it be if you tell it to drop your buggy? Like, just put me in the buggy, fly over low, drop me on the ground. That would be such a fun way to enter a new space.
that'd be a great mod. And someone had mentioned drones. Why haven't we seen drones as weapons, or,
Yeah.
maybe even a vehicle that's like a drone style vehicle? But what if a drone dropped your buggy somewhere? You're out there and along comes your drone and drops it off.
Yeah, no, that would be super fun. Yeah, there's just, man, there's so much possibilities. Like, people got so excited too, because I know a lot of people were saying early on, no, you can't do drivable vehicles in a Bethesda game. The engine can't handle it, everyone says. Yeah, obviously it can. And not only that, like, people are starting to go, oh, okay. So now, since we've seen it float on water and do pretty well that way, people now realize that there's potential for boats. And, you had commented about how when I was low gravity with the REV-8 and sort of boosting, just floating along, well, I saw someone comment that opened their mind to the possibility of smaller flying vehicles that fly over the surface. With just this one rover, we've now seen how the engine could potentially handle air travel, water travel as well.
Yeah, now that this code is in the game, of course, I've seen at least 2 really cool variations of the buggy.
Right.
Just in terms of how it looks, just skins basically.
In the mods, yeah.
But
Yep.
now that this vehicle code's in there, we are going to see so many cool vehicles.
Yeah.
And why not have a hover? You don't have to do all the wheel physics and stuff. You just hover above the ground like 20 feet and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yep.
Land speeder.
The hovering is just, just like a fluffy air tire. Like,
Right.
Like you said, it's there, it's in the game. And, you let these modders cook for a little bit, and we're going to see so much come into the game in the next few weeks.
What if enemies had REV-8s?
Yes.
And you're doing
Yes.
these battles, you're fighting an enemy in a similar style buggy.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I mean, it just opens the doors for all these new potential styles of combat, really. And someone, of course, said mechs. Everyone wants mechs. I've never really cared all that much about mechs. That's fine. I mean, if you want it in there, someone's going to make it, I'm sure.
What we've noticed about how the cannon on the buggy doesn't overpower, like you can't take it inside. You still have to get in those tight corners, and you're going to rely on your guns and your melee. But it does show how you could do a mech and have it not be overpowered. Even the game Titanfall, like, the mechs were awesome, but you weren't going to automatically win just because you were in one.
Right. That was so funny when you just drove around New Atlantis. I have not actually done that yet. And just running people over and getting all the aggro.
That was one of the questions, was like, man, can you drive this in town? Like, what's going to happen? And that's the other thing, is I'm impressed with how well it did, because obviously the game does not want you to drive through town and run over a ton of people. I have seen so many games, they don't do it well. When you play a game where it's not really built into it, where you drive, let me drive through the crowd, and then they just sort of like bump to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. No one really, my point is, like, yes, Bethesda doesn't want you to do that, but if you do, Oh man, it looks good. It
Mhm.
like in the worst way possible. It looks like GTA kind of.
Yeah.
I was impressed because I was like, okay. They said, you know what? If this is what you want to do, you're going to get a huge bounty, by the way. You might not be allowed back on this planet, but if this is what you want to do, at least it's going to look awesome.
I didn't get a chance to test it as much. It literally came out late last night, but
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah,
Mhm.
yesterday evening. Yeah.
Can it be destroyed? What happens if it just kills you and then wherever you
No,
respawn?
so yeah, as far as I can tell,
Can it be destroyed by itself and
no,
you get stranded?
no.
Okay.
Nope, it can't be destroyed. I actually, in the video, commented that there was flames coming off of it. I had a comment, appreciate this comment, by the way, pointing out that the flames were actually, it was meat on fire from a weapon that,
Incendiary
incinerates.
rounds. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad somebody pointed that out because definitely if you watch the video, it looks like the car is catching fire.
Yeah.
But no, that's incendiary rounds. So yeah, no damage, doesn't take fall damage. So like I drove that thing off a cliff, hit the ground, just kept driving.
Which is great when you're exploring because you don't want to have to hit that little, safety boost right before you impact the ground to try to mitigate damage.
Yeah.
Which kind of slows the whole process down and is a little bit of a pain. So just landing and not carrying is more fun.
Yep.
Again, they erred on the side of fun,
It's so fun.
which I think was the right way to go.
If they do a hardcore survival mode in the future and they want to add damage to the vehicle, I would be for that as an optional, hardcore mode for people. But yeah, I agree. This was the way to go.
Now, did you see companions? I didn't actually have my companion with me.
I didn't. I didn't have any companions with me. I've been hearing and reading some really funny stuff about some of the things that the companions say when they ride with you. If you're playing vanilla, you can only have either. It's just whoever your one follower is will get in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm excited to do that as well. I don't know, man. I think with this buggy, I'm ready to take my character. Like, I didn't think I was going to be going through the Unity for a long time. I think I'm ready again to do New Game Plus, start a brand new game, and just start doing all these missions with the buggy.
Right.
With the REV-8. Obviously, it's not going to factor into a lot of missions that are interior or whatever, but hey, I'm remembering, like right off the top of my head, one of the first missions in the Freestar Collective has you going from town across the land to, where some gang members are.
Yeah.
And they're all outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'm ready to do that mission again, but come in with style, flying in. Like the RC car hitting Mr. Potato Head at the end of Toy Story 1.
Right. I wonder if they could ever do like a moving style mission where like you have to attack a train and the only way to really do it would be to go alongside it with the buggy. I mean, that might be asking a lot of the engine, but again, I feel like there's a lot of possibilities.
They've shown the rover at the end of the trailer when they gave the date for Shattered Space.
Mm-hmm.
They show the rover in that, Varun Kai, which is where Shattered Space takes place. So then I'm like, okay, the rover's a free update for everyone. How early were they designing Shattered Space? Is the rover still going to be optional like everything else? Like the rover is currently to the main game, it's optional.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, since it was a free update for everyone, is it going to be required for one of these parts of the storyline? Yeah, I don't know. That would be really cool.
If there's a lot more handcrafted content and you're going in and treating it more like a Skyrim style gameplay where, go over to this village and then come back and report. So maybe you don't have to have the REV-8, but it sure makes it more fun and faster if you have it there.
Yeah.
But if you go to a POI, you park it outside, it'll remember where it's parked, right? And you come back out.
Ooh.
Is it still there?
I would think so, but I have not done that yet. I feel like if it didn't, we would hear complaints. But I haven't heard anything yet.
Something else I got to test. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so because I do want to get to a point again where I'm playing pretty much like hardcore survival, like not using fast travel, and it's so much more possible now with the REV-8 because now you can rely on it. Oh, speaking of relying on it, can I tell you that people have tested the fact that you can load up with supplies on your person. You can be over encumbered, jump in the REV-8 and drive that in, while you're over encumbered, carrying too much stuff for anyone that isn't an old school Bethesda fan. You know how you can't fast travel if you're carrying too much? Well, they sat in the REV-8 and then fast travel to their ship or to another location.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I saw someone saying, well, that breaks the game. No, think about it. Like, you're loading all that stuff into the car.
Right.
That, to me, it's like, okay, great. Like, this is a new way.
It doesn't ruin the immersion because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it does. So that's exciting. You can go to a POI, clean it out, come out all slow and barely being able to breathe.
As long as you can make it to your REV-8.
Yep. Lots of fun stuff there. We're only still in the first year. Great addition. Can't wait to see what the future holds.
What do you guys think of the REV-8? Let us know in the comments or join our Discord. Come into the Rides channel, which is brand new, where we are posting all content related to the vehicles. I mean, again, I've already seen a van. I've seen a Jeep looking mod available on PC. So the sky's the limit in terms of the skins and the different vehicles that we're going to get based on this same buggy, if you will.
Yep.
But we're interested to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed the gameplay or if you found some kind of cool trick that you could do with the buggy, let us know.
I would love to do a montage of REV-8 tricks, not just of my own, but like, man, if we can put it out to our Discord community and the podcast community and start collecting clips of these amazing trick shots with the thing, I will edit that video myself. I would love to.
We need a montage.
Montage. Absolutely. Well, I do want to just real quick before we close out, thank you to our Patreon subscribers. You help keep the show going. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Definitely. If you are interested in some merch too, we have a Fourth Wall page. We'll link it in our description. And Michael, you saw I just picked up a new mouse pad that it says, who the F is Dude Mac? And some of you might know that from the mysterious save file that some of you have seen in your Starfield game. So
yeah,
but yeah, we've got some T-shirts and some other stuff there too. If you're interested.
Yep, that's the question we all ask ourselves when that save file comes up and we have no idea what's going on. But yes, if you want to check out our Patreon page, please go ahead. We have our legendaries that we like to thank, which are Zegra Rocks, Griffin, Cherry Bomb RN, Rampage American X, Kittalahara, Space Cadet 829, Brian, and Bergenstock. So thank you so much to our legendaries, and thank you so much to everyone. We have our rares and our epics and our normals. Really appreciate all of our normal people.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone that listens on Spotify, Apple, and thank you to those watching on YouTube. All links are provided in the show notes below.
Extra special thanks for comments and feedback. If you have a comment, suggestion, or an in-game story to share, you can leave a comment on our YouTube page, or like Duane said, pop into the Discord and chat with us directly.
Yep, we got a lot of great comments on your REV-8 video too.
Absolutely, man.
I'm enjoying reading those, even the naysayers, but I always laugh at those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And if you like the show, consider dropping a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. That would help us out.
Yes, it would. Thank you for traversing the Starfield with us. Make sure you subscribe because we will be back for more.
See ya.